Hello everyone, I'm Brenda Baumgartner and welcome to my garden. This is a place I love to spend time at. And if you're like me, this time of year you have plenty of zucchini around, and that's why we're bringing you a 30-minute quick cuisine special on zucchini. Now, if you're like most people, you either have it in your garden or you've been given zucchini. So what do you do with it all? Come on inside, I'll show you some great recipes that celebrate the zucchini. Okay, so you've been given a zucchini the size of a small country and you have no idea what to do with this. I'm going to give you a great recipe. I'm going to set that aside. This is part of the zucchini that I have already peeled and cut in half. Remove the seeds and then you're going to slice it, if you have a box slicer or a mandolin slicer, into these little slices. They look just like, that's right, apple slices. Put them in a big bag. You're going to add a little bit of lemon juice. I would say probably about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons. Seal it up, and you're going to give it a good shake to coat all of your slices. The reason why we're doing this is because we want our zucchini to have that tangy apple taste. Now to that, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of flour and do the same type of shake. The reason I'm doing that is because zucchini has a lot of water. It's made up almost completely of water. And when I put this in the oven to bake, the flour is going to mix with that water and give a nice thick sauce. Take about an 8 by 8 by 2 baking pan that I have greased well. I'm going to put my zucchini slices into this baking pan. Just spread them out evenly. Now to that, very similar to when you're making an apple pie, I'm going to sprinkle it. Now this is not salt, this is my sugar shaker and I make sure it's labeled. A little bit of sugar all over top. Now I'm going to set this aside. I have about a 1/4 cup of softened butter. To that, I'm going to add about a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of oats, and a 1/4 cup of flour, and then about a teaspoon of cinnamon. Just like a crumble topping that you would put on any regular fruit crisp. Mix it up good so that the butter is coating a lot of this. Now, if you watch Quick Cuisine often, you know I love to use my hands because they're one of the best cooking tools you can have. Get all that butter mixed in with everything. Nice crumble topping. Now, simple. You're going to have messy hands, but that's okay because you're going to need messy hands for this next step. Take your apples, simply put your crumble topping over your apples. Now we all know that that's really zucchini, but you don't have to tell anyone, and trust me, they won't know. After we get the topping on, evenly spread over with all that nice butter. You're simply going to bake this for about 40 to 45 minutes in a 350-degree oven. When you take it out, serve it warm with some nice either whipped topping or ice cream, and your family will absolutely love this.
Archaeologists have traced the origins of the zucchini to Mexico, dating back to 7000 BC.
Here is, without a doubt, the best zucchini bread recipe ever. And the reason being is that it's not only really delicious, it's also so simple. And I do cheat when I make this, but I don't care, it works. What I'm going to do is start out with a box of carrot cake mix. Now you can use spice cake mix as well, but I like using the carrot cake mix because it gives us just a little bit of added flavor there. I add that to about 1.5 cups of shredded zucchini that I've already put in my mixing bowl. To that, I add 3 eggs, 1/4 cup of oil, just a little, and then about a quarter cup of sugar. Now, here's the optional ingredients. If you like nuts, which I do, I add about a half of a cup of nuts. You don't need to. If you're someone who doesn't like nuts, that's just fine. Now, I put that in my mixer bowl, and then I just mix it all together. It is so simple. Now, while I'm doing that, I've got my pans prepared, and this is another trick that I really like. I put wax paper in the pans. Makes it so easy when you're taking these breads out because they don't stick to the pan, and then the wax paper peels right off, and voila, there you've got your bread. Okay, I think we're just about done. I'm going to give it a quick mix. And there we go. Now, I'm going to take my spatula and just kind of take it all off of the mixer. And then pour it into the pans. You can see the pieces of zucchini in my mix along with the carrots because of the carrot cake mix. Isn't that wonderful, the color? Now when you get those in, all you're going to do is bake it 350 degrees for approximately 40 minutes, depending on the size of your pan. And you can see that this makes 2 medium-sized loaves of bread. You could make one big one and one smaller one if you want to give it away to a neighbor. But like I said, super simple, done in less than an hour, and so good. When working with zucchini, 2 tools that I found to be very helpful in the kitchen are this Mandolin Grater as well as my box grater. Now the ones that I like to use, you've got a real fine grater on this side, and you can use that especially like for the mock crab cakes, zucchini breads, cookies, things like that. You're going to get this real fine texture. Now, the other side of this is a little bit coarser of a grater. This I use for a lot of the filler in like zucchini, stuffed zucchini, even zucchini bread. It just depends on how coarse you want it. This, of course, goes a lot faster, and you're going to get this much more coarse zucchini. Now, for slicing, the side here is really nice because it will give you just perfectly even, you can see, like if you're using it for like the apple pie or whatever, it's just a nice slice from the side. And I like to use this especially if I've got the more narrow zucchinis, we'll go right over that, so if you want to slice them for sauteing or whatever. Now with the mandolin grater, you can see these little teeth. Use this, and it gives you these nice long strips that you can use for like mock pasta or a different type of sauteing. Here's a great recipe if you're looking for a unique appetizer, maybe a light lunch, or even a great brunch recipe. We start out with 2 cups of shredded zucchini. To that I'm going to add 2 eggs that I've beaten, a half of a cup of flour, a half of a cup of grated Parmesan cheese, about a half of a cup of either mozzarella, jack cheese, even cheddar cheese would work for this. Now I'm going to take this and put it into my mixer. And then I'm just going to stir that all together. While I'm doing that, a nice big pie plate that I have sprayed with olive oil spray. Now I'm going to come over and get my spoon. When this is done, scrape it down a little. I'm going to take this and pour it into my greased pie plate. I'm going to make sure that it spreads out all over nice and evenly. And when you grate your zucchini, don't peel it for this recipe. For most recipes, I don't grate, or I don't peel it because I like that color green in there, plus it gives it some added flavor. Plus, all the fiber, which zucchini has quite a bit of fiber, is in the peel. Got that spread out nicely. I'm going to take my remaining cheese, which is about a half of a cup, sprinkle that over the top, as well as my remaining Parmesan cheese. It's nice and evenly. I'm going to sprinkle about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning right over the top. Now at this point you can bake it in the oven. I bake it at about 400 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes just to make sure that it's nice and bubbly. You can also add some wonderful sliced tomatoes. These are out of my garden. Just around the top, and then I usually put it back in for about 30 to 35 minutes so that those tomatoes get nice and soft. Stick a knife in the middle. If it comes out clean, that means it's done. Slice it into pie slices, and there you have a wonderful zucchini oven omelet.
The colonists of New England adopted the name squash, a word derived from several Native American words meaning something eaten raw.
Here's a really good recipe if you're looking for something special to serve to guests, because the presentation of this recipe is really unique. What I've taken here in my fry pan is some bulk sausage, just regular breakfast sausage. If you want to use the kind that's a little more spicy, that's fine too. 1 chopped small onion, a teaspoon or 1 clove of garlic chopped, and then 2 cups of chopped zucchini. And what I've done as far as getting the chopped zucchini is this. I've taken 1 zucchini, a large one, and I've cut it in half lengthwise as well as crosswise, and then I've removed the seeds and dug out all of the pulp. That is what I've chopped and put into the fry pan. I've hollowed out these little boats and sprinkled just a little bit of salt in each one of them and put them in a shallow baking pan. While this is cooking, I'm going to take about 2/3 cup of breadcrumbs, as well as some Parmesan cheese, about half of a cup. I'm going to mix that together real quick. To that, I'm going to add 1 egg. And this is just to bind everything together. Now, before I get that completely stirred up, I'm going to add my sausage and zucchini mixture to the breadcrumbs. It smells absolutely wonderful. Now I'm just going to stir this all together. It's almost like a stuffing, and that's exactly what you're going to be doing with this. Like I said, the garlic and the onions all together with that wonderful pork sausage is just fabulous. Once you get it mixed together like this, you're going to take it and put it into your zucchini boats. Make sure that it's mixed well. Little scoops. And you're just going to fill your little zucchini boats. Make sure that they're filled well. I've got plenty of stuffing here to fill them with. Now once you have them filled, you're going to add about 1/2 cup of water to the bottom of the pan. Then you're going to cover them with more tin foil. Bake these in a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes. Then take the tin foil off and bake another 15 minutes uncovered. When they're done, they're going to be simmering. The zucchini is going to be tender, and they're going to be great presentation for guests or for family.
The water content of zucchini is 95%. A cup of zucchini has under 30 calories.
One of my favorite things is crab cakes, and here is a great zucchini recipe for mock crab cakes. Start out 2 eggs beaten, then 2 cups of shredded zucchini unpeeled. Add that to it. To that, I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of seasoned breadcrumbs, about 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise or salad dressing, and you can even use some of those seasoned mayonnaise. They're really good. Some are spicier. And then about 2 teaspoons of Old Bay seasoning. And what this does is gives it that crab cake taste. So about 2 teaspoons. I'm going to mix this all together with my mixer. And it doesn't take too much. Just enough. We're going to put those and just make them into little patties, just like little crab cake patties. You can see all the beautiful zucchini in there. And then we're just going to quickly fry them in some corn oil on both sides. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. You can serve it with tartar sauce, cocktail sauce, and I actually like them plain. Easy mock crab cakes. Most people who have had zucchini have had it this way, just sauteed or fried in some butter, maybe some salt and pepper. I'm going to give you a good variation on this that I think you'll really like, and especially your kids. When you fried your zucchini, make sure that they get browned, but try to get them so that they're not quite as done as you normally would. Transfer this to a lightly greased baking pan. Spread them out. To this, we're going to add some Parmesan cheese, just sprinkled lightly over the top. Then about 3 to 4 sliced green onions. Again, just evenly over the top. Then some real bacon pieces. Now you can brown the bacon and crumble it yourself, but I just like buying it already done. Much easier. Sprinkled lightly over the top. Then some cheddar or jack cheese that's shredded. Again, about a half of a cup. Sprinkled lightly over the top. Now, once you have that ready to go into the oven, before you pop it in, and you're going to bake this at about 350 degrees, sprinkle it with a little bit of basil just over the top. Bake this just until your cheese is melted and it's browned on the top. It only takes about 10 minutes, and then you've got a really unique and delicious side dish.
Zucchini is a good source of fiber with 4 grams per cup, but be sure to include the peel. It is also a good source of vitamins A and C and potassium.
Zucchini Alfredo. I know, kind of sounds strange, but this is a really good side dish or a light lunch if you're looking for something a little, less hearty. I use a Mandolin Grater for this to get these nice little julienne pieces. This is what it looks like. Cut them just in nice, long, lengthy pieces. After I'm done doing that, I saute them in olive oil just until they're al dente, just like pasta. Now while that's cooking, I'm going to take about 1/3 of a cup of shredded Parmesan cheese and about the same amount, 1/3 of a cup of sour cream. Mix that up. And that's all you're going to add to this. That's how simple this is. Zucchini, Parmesan cheese, and sour cream. I'm going to get this sauce nice and mixed up well. Now when my zucchini has cooked, just so it's a little soft, that's when I'm going to add my Alfredo sauce, and I'm going to put it around just so that it's easier to kind of mix in. If I put it in one big glop, then it seems to just melt in that one space. Now, from this point, all I'm going to do is just saute this around, and it will start to soften, and the cheese will start to melt. And you can see it's turning into a nice sauce all around the zucchini. Let it simmer so that the sauce soaks into your zucchini pieces. This is one, it's a really different flavor, but one I think you're really going to enjoy. Now you can serve it, like I said, as a side dish, or you can have it with a salad for a nice light lunch. It's that simple, that easy. I think you're really going to like it. This is a zucchini soup recipe that my mother has made for years. It is one of my favorite, and it's got a really rich, creamy texture to it, as well as a secret ingredient that makes it really unique. I start out by browning an onion, a chopped onion, in about 1 tablespoon of butter. To that, I'm going to add 2 chopped zucchinis. This equals out to be about 2 to 3 cups of chopped zucchini. Let's mix those all together. Now I'm not going to saute the zucchini, I'm just going to mix it together really quickly. To that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of chopped green chilies. Now if you like chopped green chilies, add the entire can. To that I'm going to add a can of cream corn. It adds some thickness to your soup. And then I'm going to also add 3 cups of chicken broth. Make sure we get all that in there. I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of salt, about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Give it a good stir. Then I'm going to bring this to a boil, and then I'm going to let it cook for about 5 minutes. Now the next step in our soup is to add the cream. What this is about 2 cups of milk with about a 1/4 cup of flour mixed in, and of course blended very well. The flour, of course, is going to add the thickness to our soup. Just stir that around just a little. And then our final ingredient is some Jack and cheddar cheese. I add about 3/4 cup, and I just let it melt all in to my soup, and then I let it simmer because I want it to thicken up and let all those flavors meld together. Now our final step with this wonderful soup is an ingredient that you probably wouldn't expect to put in your soup. I put a little bit of parsley to make it savory, and then my secret ingredient with this is nutmeg, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little, probably about a 1/2 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. Stir it all together, and you've got a wonderful family favorite at my house, creamy zucchini soup.
Summer squash is very low in calories and high in fiber. It is rich in beta-carotene, vitamin C, folic acid, and calcium.
There's another one. More zucchini for great zucchini recipes. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our 30-minute special. I'm Brenda Baumgartner. I'll see you each Thursday for Quick Cuisine on the Noon Show, as well as the weeknights on NBC News Channel 6. Have a great day.